And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about caregiving. This is the original cover of the book. And actually, these are free if you want your own copy. With or without my signature, they're still free. And because I'm filling in, I didn't have time to give him updating. I've got over 40 books. It's closer to 50. So that's the first thing. I primarily write fiction. My father and my dad never did anything but promote my books. But both of them said, or at the end of their lives, write a book about caregiving. And I lost both of them within a year and a half of each other. And don't know why I thought that would be okay, because they don't do nonfiction. So I wrote a caregiving book. What I wanted to do was put together the things that I've learned since I started. When I started, I was 19 years old. I got married at 19. My husband's people were 62 and 73. So we were both very family-oriented, and we slid into helping them. They were very active, took care of most things, but every once in a while they needed things, and we took care of it, and then it gradually increased. Through that process, I started learning really quickly. There was a great deal of difference between doing it as a civilian or being a medical personnel, which my mother was in geriatric nursing, which in those years, been a nursing home, you didn't have care facilities such as we have now. So I had been volunteering when hurricanes came, because I lived in South Florida, which has got a target on it for every hurricane it's ever warned. So when people couldn't get there or wouldn't get there, I went in and did what I could. In that process, I learned some of the things that went on in the facilities, and I knew the things that I did want to see when I cared for the people I cared about. For me, caregiving isn't just the physical needs. Aging is not physical alone. Aging is mental. A lot of it is mental. How you think about yourself and how the caregiver thinks about you becomes very, very important. The person who has an impairment, whatever that may be, is aware that, hey, I can't do whatever. I have to be in the chair, or I have to have a walker, or whatever it is. And they're aware of it. Very aware. If their caregiver is sensitive to them, they will not highlight that impairment. And a simple example is a person with a walker or cane doesn't walk at the same speed that you or I do without the aid. Don't walk 5 paces ahead while they slowly follow you. It automatically, whether they say anything, either one says anything, it's a subliminal signal that I'm healthy and you're not. Please don't do that. Stay in the pace of whomever you're caring for. If they're in a chair, walk with them. Talk to them. It amazes me how many people talk here when somebody's in a chair right here. Please, get your eye level down. They feel that. They know that. Excuse me. I have diverticulitis. In order to not spend any time in the light, I had to learn how to eat slower and drink more fluid, which elongates the time I spend at the table. If I'm there with someone who knows me, they slow their meal down, so they're not done with and getting the doggy bag till I'm 1/4 of the way done. If I'm there with somebody who doesn't know me, believe me, I do not order anything that are not appetizer. Take 3 bites because you will be ready. Because, again, you're aware that you're holding them up or whatever. That's just one aspect. Equally, when someone is used to taking care of their particular issues at home, doing the laundry, picking oranges on a tree. My father-in-law, this is in the early stages of this book, we went to this house to help with his housework on the weekend, because my husband worked 2 jobs, and I had 2 children at the time. So he called me on Thursday and said, Sydney, is there any chance David can come and fit my oranges to get them right? I said, well, he's not going to be having any daylight time to do it until Saturday morning, but we'll be there early to take care of it. He's a sweetheart. So he says, oh, okay, fine. So my husband came in from his second job. 2 hours later, when he zonked out, because he was literally working like 18 hours and only had 6 hours of sleep, phone rings. There was the emergency room at St. Mary's. My father-in-law was in there. He had gone on his stepladder, climbed up in the 10-foot orange tree to pick the oranges, missed his footing, fell through the tree, and ripped both ears off his little bullet head. I answered the phone. The lady's explaining it to me. I said, okay, I'll get my husband out there because he also had power of attorney. Then my father-in-law at the time that was in his late 80s. Had to wake my husband up, which he was too tired, and I had to yell a lot. He gets to the car and he goes up there. Now, those two men were very quiet and very kind to each other, and neither one of them ever said anything bad about anybody. They were in the emergency room yelling at each other because my husband was saying he was taking a chainsaw to the orange tree when he left the emergency room, and my father-in-law was saying, if you touch my tree, I'm not talking to you again. So the end result was the surging pain reattached the ears. He was fine, but he had big things on his ears. And they didn't talk to each other for 2 weeks. So, because of the orange thingy. So, I have to do the peacemaker bit. I can bet I'm not doing the peacemaker bit, but I tried. As I went down with the both and said, please, you two love each other. You knew we were coming. We might have lost a few oranges, but we wouldn't have lost your ears. I even got the stupid ladder. And he's not going to cut off your tree, and he was worried about you killing yourself and scared the heck out of it. So please don't do that again, because then I will yell. These are the kinds of things that you run into, being done everything basically right, but you have to find a way to navigate, because this is not a one-size-fits-all thing. You learn every time with everybody. Some of the things that I like are easy ways to make things easier. And I like to do them before I need them. One of the things for me is I have friends that right now I have 3 friends that have fallen and broken legs, 4 ankles, or messed up knees. In all 3 cases, they were carrying things. They either mistook the distance or they got overbalanced because their hands were full. They weren't fast enough to grab something to keep from landing and breaking. There are a couple of ways, inexpensive ways, to deal with it. If you're on Route 11 in the house that you have, and including your garage, I got one of those mechanic carts. They hold 250 pounds. You can buy them in Harbor Freight for cheap. You get a Tractor Supply. I rolled my car up to the back of my car when I was on the town and bought my groceries. And because I live in a rural area and up 40 acres up, you really know very of it. When I go to shop, I've got a lot of stuff. It isn't 2 bags. It's more like twice. Like I'm lucky. I roll my cart out to my car door, open it, 20 bags on the cart. Close the thing, keel in, my house, stop at the refrigerator, close stuff. Stop at the freezer, set stuff. Stop at the pantry, unload that. Clothes, or whatever else I bought, medicines, stop at no place. Empty that on the cart. So, it takes a 45-minute job, and I timed it, down to about 10 to 15. There is none of this in your hand. Even if you have a full walker, you can use the cart because you won't need the walker. It's steady. It's not going to slide out from under you. And they also have locks on them. I don't happen to use mine, but you can lock them. If you don't have basically same level, in my other house, not this one, I had a landing from my garage, which meant I went up 4 steps, leave the landing, and then I was level with my house. What I did is take my groceries out of my car, which was about 4 feet from the landing, put it on the landing, then lug it on the cart. It took another 5 minutes, but it was a lot easier. Inside the house, especially if you have a small area like an apartment or a condo or a townhouse or a trailer, believe it, I have a lightweight cart for the same reason. I never was very hungry. I put pound bags of peas that I plant during my laundry because, number one, you can't see over it. And number two, in my case, maybe I'm a klutz, something's going to land on the floor and I'm liable to step on it to go trying to do a slalom down, whatever. So it goes into the cart and you can either fold it and go wherever everything goes, which is nice, or you can dump it all in and take it wherever it normally would go, whatever it is. And it's a 2-shelf cart. Every shelf, I put cleaning supplies when I get ready to wipe down or whatever it is, so that I don't have to keep it quiet, which is a pain in the neck. So instead of taking 2 hours to do a job, it takes 20 minutes. Because I've got it before I need it, when I suddenly start needing it, they won't be, oh darn, that's too early. It's sitting over. I don't want to be listening for that. So you've got things like that that you can look at. This thing right here is a lifesaver. I love these things. If you haven't got them, even if you're really good with muscles and everything like he's got, it's fine. But like my mom,
I just fought one of those last week.
He's doggone things right here. Whoever invented it.
Oh, third wild.
And make them open about 5 of them without using their teeth for every dirty word they know. The bottom line here is my mother had our osteoporosis and also arthritis. They don't turn raw. That's open. If you try to open it without doing that, you would say, you might not say it out loud, but you'd sure hadn't say it. Yes, it would be it. Bottom line is, it fits every. And the wonderful part about this little piece, you know those stupid pickle jars that if you put a bomb on it, you've got glass everywhere? Believe me, I've thought about it. They will open those. That's your hand this wherever you made it to be for whatever it is. Or I like the AQs. They put those halves on with super glue. It's the second one. And we're done. They cost about $12 on Amazon. This one happens to be my dad's. He died in 2011. And it's still in my kitchen being used. I don't think you can break it unless you try to take a long turn. So this is another advantage.
Even they got a different fellow.
Yes, they do. And anybody who's my father got what's called spider hands, that he lost muscle control in here, so he couldn't close like this. This is invaluable because literally anything that's got a top on it, bing, and it does not take into muscle. What is that called? $12. No. What is it called? They call them a jar opener at Amazon.
Yeah.
And I looked, they actually have a video of a woman opening all kinds of different size jars with this thing. And it made it look like it's unreal, but it isn't. You just saw me open it. I didn't have even a strength. And you can tell this, it's up. It's stuff like this that really helps you tremendously without breaking the bank. And again, get it before you need it. Because when you do need it, you don't have to be looking at what you can't do anymore. Because again, back to the mental. I did not ever want any of my people to feel like they were less because I suddenly had to do the laundry or had to do the dusting or whatever it was. In fact, I had a sneaky thing. My father-in-law was a maniac he was taking a place of a good man. First time I had to do something for him, I say, I'll make a tray with you. He says, what? And so I got this list of a couple of things I need built whenever you get to it. Because he was a master carpenter.
Super wonderful.
He said, really? Lit up like a Christmas tree. I said, I'll swap this for boarding our house for. Really? Okay. Out he went to his tool shed and tottered around with all this stuff has that spine that I scrubbed and didn't have to worry about upsetting. If you can find things like that, it makes it where the person can contribute regardless of whatever is going on with their age. Please do. My daughters, one of them is good with the aging. The other one, she needs to live in another state. We went shopping. But now, I pick up, let's see, 40 pounds. Shirley and I pick up donkey food, 50 pounds. Well, either one of us can pick up the 50. We're just smarter than that. We went shopping. I had 2 bags that I don't think weighed more than these 2 books. Every time I went to pick something up, she'd take it. I'll take it. Let me go open the door for you. By the time it was done, it was very polite and was very sweet, but I felt like I was 98 years old. I was not a happy camper. And about when we got out to the car, I said, please don't do that. I've been carrying my stuff for some 70 some years, and I've managed. You don't need to do that. If I need help, I'll tell you. But don't grab the bag. Don't do this. Because whatever our age is, we're all still thinking. We're all still people. We're all still doing our stuff. And there's a lot of practical things that you can do. Having said all of that, that's the physical part of it and the mental part of it. Let's talk about the medical. All of us have had an adventure of the medical issues with insurance and so forth. How many have had insurance issues and city bills paid? Oh, yeah, you're telling me every one of you have had no insurance problems in getting bills paid. Okay. If you are having a bill that you're looking at, first, keep your receipts from your doctors. Keep your discharge papers from your hospital stay. Especially keep them if you should have somebody in the family that you're taking care of who passes away. There are many doctors, I'm sorry to say this, but it's true, and it's not localized in any particular state. If they see an obituary for someone, you very possibly will get a bill and then saying you owe this. When my husband passed away, his doctor sent me a bill. And I looked at it, and we had Medicare, and we also had accidental, so we pay nothing, no matter what it is. I'm looking at it, and it was for about $14,000 because he had stage 4 lung cancer. So I called the doctor's office and said, I think you've made an error. They said, no, Medicare did pay. I said, that's fine, but you might want to check your medical records. He has a supplemental and zero pay. No one has zero pay. I said, that's fine, check his medical records. It took well over an hour to back and forth with phone calls before they finally found it. And the way that I got them to find it was it called the supplemental insurance people and had them call the doctor's office directly. This is a very easy way to cut through some of the nonsense that you face when you about a bill that's in question. Another thing that they will do is they will tell you what your bill is supposed to be, and you check it with your insurance on that basis. Every bill, and I used to do insurance for doctors, and I did the hooking up the doctor with the insurance so they became providers, so I have to know how this thing works. There are codes for every single thing that happens, everything. Those codes have 3 numbers in front of them, and they have a period and 3 numbers behind. One's behind are called extensions. They have a buffer about this thick. All it is codes. You need a microscope to read it. If someone comes in, and I work the pyro PTs, which there's a lot of PT in the aging process. If someone comes in and needs to have 8 treatments on their back, they're going to get a code. and that code's going to have extensions behind it. Any of your insurance is now giving you a multiple of how many treatments they're going to pay for after that and then pay. A lot of the doctors have fallen to or have figured it out that if they change the code, they start a new calendar for how many. So, here's your big book with thousands and thousands of these codes. Take the bill that you have and call your insurance company. They are not your enemy. By the state and by the federal government, they have to answer every question you ask. When you make the call, they're on a recorded line. If they make the call to you, they are not on a recorded line. So make sure that you do the calling because it's a recorded line and they archive those tapes. What happens is you get a bill and suddenly you're having to pay for your PT because the doctor extended it because it wasn't finished, which they can do. What they're supposed to do in their office is call the insurance company and advise them that they need an extension. And there's a process for that. Bottom line is, if the process goes through, you will be notified. If you're not notified, your doctor should have already told you you've run out of visits, and you should know it yourself. Please don't be uninformed about your insurance. It's the easiest way to end up paying about it. What you do is you call your insurance company and ask them. And then they're going to tell you how many visits according to that code. Next call you make, you talk to your doctor. You said I needed X number more. Hey, is that the same code as the first words that the insurance paid? If he says yes, and he hasn't got any approval, that's not a work for it if you're going to end up paying it. If he says no, and he sends it in on another code, you're going to get paid for it. So those codes are very important. And it only takes somebody putting a data entry in there with a mistake on it. In other words, putting a 6 instead of a 5. And a lot of your recharges to yourself are because of a mistake code. Always call the insurance company first and ask them why they refuse to pay it. And they will tell you. They have to tell you. Write it down. Don't count on your memory. I don't care if you're 12. Don't count on your memory. Write it down. Also write down the date of the call and who you talked to. Then go to the doctor and check. Ask them what code that should have been involved. You're going to probably find there's a mistake in their coding. But I cannot tell you how many people, in the 2 years I did this, that had bills that would stick under my list. Why didn't I get paid for this? Well, okay, whoever data entered this, and you got data entry at the doctor's office, that you also have an insurance place. Somebody with the wrong coding. This is the code they used, and this is not the code they're charging you for. And that's why and so it takes a call to the insurance company and the doctor to refill that. Does everybody understand what I said? Because this is thousands of lives, especially when you've got people that are with horrible ongoing things like treatments for cancer or dialysis, things like that. None of those are true. Please pay attention to your codes. Because the last thing you want when you're in that kind of extreme situation is a stupid bill. My husband opened the mail one day and found that $14,000. And he died 2 days later. So, not good. So you had to worry about it, and I had to deal with it. So, do pay attention to what they're charging you for and why they're charging you. When you are in the hospital, and this changes yearly, so I'm not quoting days, please. When you're in the hospital, and you are discharged, and you're over 65, or you're 65 or older, Medicare allows so much home care, and that will include nurse, OT, PT if necessary, wound care if necessary. If, depending on the situation, it can also require basically a CNA with comes in and helps with your hygiene. And it'll be, what I did with my people is, I rotate them because it won't come every day. So that's 5. So 7 days in a week. I made sure there was a medical professional every day by rotating with Stephen, because you don't get them every day. So if the nurse was coming twice a week, then I had 2 days. So then fill it out the other 5 with the rest. The advantage to that is, number one, we get a medical professional for a number of days. During my people's time, you had up to 120 days depending on a surgical procedure or the reason they were admitted. That gets you a lot of care where you can do things. That's number one. If it's a situation where it's in the high 80s and 90s, we're getting into hospice possibility. Hospice, some people understand what hospice is and some don't, so there's little things you all know, they just please hush. But hospice isn't just for the, you speak up, oh sure, I'm sorry. Hospice isn't just for the last day or two of life. It's there to support the family and to help whoever your loved one is. They have different areas of hospice, and their services can vary depending on how well funded they are, how much need it is for a lot of things, because it's not the average thing. Their whole focus is patient first, comfort. Family, right up there with whatever those two want together, you're going to get it. When you are in a hospital, it doesn't matter what hospital, this is the same for all of me. These medical professionals take an oath to preserve life at all costs. They are not trying to be mean. They're not trying to be cruel. They are simply, this is what they're taught from the get-go. And if that takes machines or extra medications or extra pills, or telling patients that you can see them 3.5 seconds every 5 hours, that's what they're going to do, because their focus is, it's that person alive at all costs. When hospice steps in, that's over. It's you and whoever you love. Having said that, some hospice had what I call outside of where I call extreme care. Everybody's got labels. This is my particular one. Extreme care means hospice ordinarily is 72 hours that they provide hospice care. That is for basically imminent death. If it is an imminent death, such as your person who was having so much issues and you needed help, what I would do was make a call to my local hospice. In Lafayette County, which that's one of the counties I'm closest to. And I use Saving out of Lake City for my husband and my father. But if you use hospice through Lafayette County, they actually have a nurse that does a well check. Most of the time by phone. If there's any question, if we're worried about anything, it's not sounding good, you've got some sort of odor from, say, a wound or a cut or something like that, they're not eating right, they're not drinking right, they can't use that incorrectly, you let that nurse know. Then they're going to do whatever is appropriate in that situation. When you do that type of care, you can still do care with a doctor, because this is kind of a watchdog at that, which will help you in some of your situation, depending on what your hospice people do here. If you are in the last time of life, I brought my husband home on a Monday. They were expecting him to not make it to the rest of the day. It's called imminent death. Medicare covers 24/7, registering hers at bedside, administering whatever is needed to make me comfortable. In this case, it was Leaford Northie. They only do 1 day. Every day, Lake City, Haven, sent a nurse, a head nurse, to my house to coordinate with whoever was on the shift to get another done. 1 day at a time, they did it for 4 days. Medicare paid every penny, because they have the capability of doing this. Because, again, their focus is your loved one and what matters to you. The end result is once it has finished, or life is completed, they do the calling, they contact a funeral home, they take care of transporting by making sure all of that is taken care of. You do not have to do it. So anytime that you're getting into this kind of aging, the 80s, the 90s, or earlier, if you've got a very, very debilitating illness, contact your hospice and see what's available there and how far they can go with it. Equally, you have some of your churches and members that will do less than can. If they do, most of the ones that I know of do it for free. Now, they're not going to come every day. What respite care means is you need a break, or you need to go to your own doctor, or maybe buy groceries because you want to feed people. They will have somebody come and stay with your person while you do what you need to do. If you have a will, please do a DNR if that is the way that you're thinking. I'm not saying everybody is comfortable with that, they aren't. But do a DNR because you're getting to make your choices either way. Even if you don't have a DNR, you've made your choice known. Do whatever it takes to keep them alive for the next 5 minutes or whatever. Or this is how long. And now, and I just updated my will about 2 years ago, you can actually put a length of time on that DNR. If I have to go on life support, they are allowed 10 days. If I can't sustain life in 10 days, you pull the plug. My reasons for a DNR, and they're personal. Everybody make your own decision on this. This is not something that you can decide because the Brits said so. Please don't do that to yourself. For my son, I do not want my daughters to have to pull the plug. They're the only two left. I cannot think of anything more hideous for me to do to my two daughters, either of them. So I'll pull my own plug. There's a DNR. It's all you get. Pull it in the tech date. I'm done. You do have the option of that, and you can pick any time you want. You don't have to pick 10 days or 3 days or whatever it is. Or you can say none. Same thing with donor. If you're going to be any kind of donor, please put that in your paperwork so that your relatives don't have to. I know Mom talked about that, but did she decide to do it? And make sure that they have copies of it so that there's no question of it. Now, Shirley and I are both widows. She used to bring with her sister. Her sister was at a point where she needed to go home to her children. She was finishing. So we had met at church. My husband and my father were dead. And I had a separate apartment attached to my house, and she knew about it. It's totally self-contained. In fact, you can't get from her place into my house unless you go through 2 loft doors. And it's got a kitchen and bathroom the whole night. She said, "What are you going to do with that apartment?" And I said, "What were you thinking?" She said, "Well, would you like me to come and keep you company?" I said, "Okay, I'm really a loner. You can't believe it with the way I talk all the time, but I really am." I said, "I've never had a roommate in my life. We'll try it for 6 months. If we haven't murdered each other, we'll keep it up." Well, what we did was you put 2 people totally different, where it's kind of like living in a condo. We go out on the porch and say hi in the morning, that kind of thing. But the advantage to it is if I should have a health crisis, which 3 times I've had to be moved from my home. I was with the EMTs, and let me tell you, they're cute and they're very good at their job, but I didn't like it. Yeah. That'd be young, you're right, but they're still cute. Even sick, I could tell. But the bottom line here is she was right there. One of my daughters lives 500 miles away. The other one happened to be 3 states over, which means should I have lost consciousness and maybe not been capable of handing them the DNR or anything else I had to say, I would have to take whatever the hospital decided to do. That is still not on my list. So what we've done is I am her healthcare surrogate because she's outlived all her people and they live to be 90-something and she's nowhere close. And she had my healthcare surrogate in there. And all that means is each one of us has the other's paperwork that if we are not lucid and running our mouth, that healthcare surrogate can hand over that paper and say, this is what she has. It's a smart move. You can do the same thing with relatives who live on the same street or even friends, so that you've got somebody that can speak for you if you happen to be not lucid for whatever reason. Does that make sense? Did I leave you where you understood it? But anybody else got any questions? But you've got 5 whole more minutes, and then I got to say bye. Okay. These are the original copies of Caregiving. They are a gift. So anyone who would like a copy, you're welcome to come and take one. It has a lot of practical stuff. It definitely explains about the billing and so forth, and some of the tricks I used to make it easier. So thank you very much for having me.